I am Daniel, I'm a sleep physician, and if you have insomnia, this channel is for you. Today, upon a request from a viewer, we're going to talk about how CBT-I, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, is sometimes done incorrectly and therefore doesn't work, and how to do it correctly. I am super excited to have you back here, and if you're new to the channel, then a welcome to you. The other day, I think it was 2 days ago, Ellen asked me two questions. She had two actually suggestions for topics, and those one tends to be the best one. So I'm really excited to be talking about one of her suggestions, which was, what is, incorrect CBT-I? Oftentimes I talk about how the first thing I think about when somebody says, I already tried CBT-I and it didn't work for me. I'm like, did you really was it done properly? How was it done? Tell me more. And 9 times out of 9, like literally every time on this channel somebody told me that, it's been like, oh, I don't think that was really proper CBT-I. And by the way, if you're completely new to the channel, you may not know what I'm talking about, go back to the first episodes and you will quickly get the hang of it. You learn about CBT-I, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. Now, that said, I was thinking of I'm gonna go over what I consider really good CBT-I, the components of that, and then talk about some common mistakes. So CBT-I, I already said it a couple of times, so I'm going to say one more time. It stands for Cognitive Behavioral Therapy for Insomnia. The C, the cognitive portion of this, it really revolves around understanding how insomnia develops, the 3P model, and also sleep drive, what makes us sleepy, and what is normal sleep, how do people that don't have sleep problems sleep. That is the C, very important. And then you have the behavioral therapy, very important as well. We have bedtime restriction as part of the behavioral therapy, whereby you limit time in bed, building up a strong sleep drive that makes you sleep better. Stimulus control, whereby you leave the bed if you cannot sleep to break an unhealthy association between the bed and not sleeping well. Paradoxical intention maybe is part of that, not a very important one, but paradoxical intention is going to bed trying to stay awake, and that paradoxically helps you sleep. So those are the two first components, the C, cognitive, the B, behavioral therapy, and the third one, which is equally important in my opinion, is sleep effort, meaning whatever you do to try to sleep will make your insomnia stronger. It always backfires, and part of this third component, if you will, of CBT-I, in my opinion, super important as well, is shifting attention, trying to step away from thinking about sleep, away from preoccupations about sleep. And this is often the C and the B, the C, the cognitive and behavioral therapy, is often fairly straightforward. The third part of CBT-I, which is where you have to shift attention from sleep, think less about sleep, that is typically the hardest part. But that to me is the 3 components of really good CBT-I. Now, what is what are the common mistakes people that I hear about, that it's not that people make mistakes, it's they're not instructed properly. And to segue into that, I want to start with Talking Insomnia, the recent episode, I believe it's 11, with Audra. So please listen to that if you have time. It is, I think, is really, really helpful, and you learn a lot from it. And in that episode, you will hear one example of not proper CBT-I, or not pure CBT-I, if you will. You will hear Audra talk about how she was instructed to, to change her sleep window. That's kind of chronotherapy, where you if you have shift work or jet lag or something like that, you want to shift your whole sleep phase. Chronotherapy, there's a lot of sleep hygiene involved, as you hear her talk about in that episode. So that's, if you listen to that, you will see one example of that was not good CBT-I. And so becoming more specific here, one I think big mistake is mixing up CBT-I with sleep hygiene. So we already talked about CBT-I. What is sleep hygiene? Well, sleep hygiene are these things keep your bedroom cool, keep it dark, don't eat so much before you go to bed, don't do any heavy exercise before going to bed, limit coffee. That's sleep hygiene. and it's not effective for insomnia. Some people like myself feel like I don't think it's important at all. And other people feel like, well, it has a place, but it's not that important. But mixing up those type of sleep hygiene advice with CBT-I is confusing in my opinion often. And that is, in my opinion, one way that CBT-I is not properly done. I wrote down a few more. Another common one is when people are told, well, you have to go to bed this time and you have to get out of bed this time. And that is not good, because if somebody is told, you have to be in bed by this time, they just stick to that and they go to bed even if they're not ready to sleep. And thereby they spend time tossing and turning, creating this unhealthy association with the bed and not sleeping. So like having a strict bedtime is, in my opinion, a classic mistake when it comes to CBT-I. Another one is, and it's kind of similar to this one, is having a too big of a window. So I don't remember who it was, but one of the people I got an email from said, her window, meaning the time, the kind of window she was supposed to be in bed, was like 8 or 9 hours. And so if you decide you're gonna, you do CBT-I, you think you're doing CBT-I, and you're like spending 9 hours in bed or 8 hours in bed, but you only need like 6.5 hours of sleep, you'd be by default gonna have insomnia. It's gonna seem like it's not working. I mean, the problem there is, again, you have too big a window, or you have a fixed bedtime. The wake up time should be fixed, but not the bedtime. So I think those are the most common mistakes for CBT-I. Was there anything more? I'm just gonna read here. No, I think I covered everything I wanted to talk about. So, and one final thing I want to say is, like, in that episode I talked about Talking Insomnia, the one with Audra, which is very recent. I want to thank Ellen, Jonathan, Pexi for like commenting and giving some supportive advice to Audra. I've been thinking a lot about her and very hopeful that she will be doing better. So without further ado, I want to say thank you for tuning in, and I'll be back here tomorrow. Until then, take it easy.